Sometimes my son, he'll ask me, why is your forest so important? And I tell him, well, son, it's important because there's great things to discover. Even though the forest may be somewhat degraded, it still supports a huge biodiversity of wildlife. There are new discoveries all the time. And without active protective management of the forest, these things could be lost. It's a wild, difficult place to get into. Our area is 130,000 hectares. That's more than twice the size of Singapore. One of the first and most important aspects of our job as the managers of this land is to protect the forest. We've set up a security system where we have guard posts on the main access points into the forest, along the river channels. And their job is not to arrest people, but to inform people what practices and activities are acceptable, legal, and sustainable. So one of the biggest complexities that we have is developing trust from the people who live and work in the area. We try to teach the fishermen sustainable fishing practices so that their harvests will remain abundant for future years. The farmers that live near our area, some of them have migrated into the area. And so they use their traditional knowledge and practices of slash and burn, which is cheap, but not always environmentally friendly. So we have worked with them very closely to move them away from this slash and burn practice. And we've provided them with training, education, seeds, and tools to begin cultivating the soil, in this case for chilies. One of our farmers, Pa Achok, has been very successful at this. And now he's selling chilies about every 3 or 4 months around the Kampar Peninsula. Honey harvesting is a unique and very important cultural component of the people who live in the area. Honey harvesting has been going on for generations. What's great about it is that this is a true forest product. Honey harvesting comes from the largest tree in the forest, and the bees grow their hives on the underside of the large branches, which are 50, 60 meters above the forest floor. So we work with them very closely to purchase their honey, but the profits from that honey we return back to the villagers. So it's in the honey harvester's best interest to not disturb the forest. The most important restoration activity we can do in our forest is canal blocking. A peat forest depends upon water for its life, its blood. And those canals drain water out of the peat forest. We've inventoried our area and identified 116 kilometers of canal and about 34 different canal systems. And we have a plan over the next 10 years to close off these canals and stop the open and free drainage from occurring. Our biodiversity monitoring is really the most interesting part of the job because every day there's a new discovery for us. So far with our camera trapping data, we've identified over 300 different birds, 72 different mammals, including some very rare and threatened species of wildcats. The flat-headed cat in Sumatra, we have seen half a dozen times. Unless we assess it, do our surveys, document it, and share it, no one will know. This is one of the first, most comprehensive programs for greenhouse gas monitoring in Indonesia. The overall goal is to understand what are the long-term emissions from different cover types. By knowing this, we can then take mitigative actions in order to improve these emissions, to reduce them. The biggest danger is that this forest is not actively managed or protected. It contains tens of millions of tons of carbon. It has hundreds of species of rare, unique, and threatened wildlife. And our goal is to achieve ecosystem balance and restore the productivity of the area. We have to take responsibility today so the resources will be there for future generations.